Change is inevitable if you're going to fulfill the purpose of the church and its ministries. As we direct our attention to the ministries of your church in this episode, we'll discover that we may need to make some changes in order to have a balanced church that is able to reproduce itself and its ministries. At this point, I'd like to introduce you to a tool we have used around the world over the years. The ministry flowchart is a diagram that displays ministries, leadership gifts, and leadership functions and how they work together in areas of pre-evangelism, evangelism, connecting growth, and maturity, leadership development, and church multiplication. If you're following along, we're now on page 27 of the coaching guide. See, the ministry flowchart is a simple way to diagram the flow of ministry in a local church. All the ministries of a church can be listed in one of these 6 columns. The flowchart displays ministries and leaders in relationship to the others. From left to right, it shows the logical sequence by which people become involved in various ministries and their next step of involvement. It is the natural progression in which someone makes contact with the community of believers and then progresses in their spiritual life. See, each column represents ministries that help a person become a believer and then mature in the faith until they are a sent believer, fulfilling their purpose as part of God's mission. The flowchart also shows the intended results of ministry involvement as members grow in the faith. Each column represents various ministries in the church. Under each heading, each of the ministries of a local church can be listed. What this serves to show is any essential ministries that may be missing. It also helps to determine what is required to move people to the next level of ministry. Listed from the left to the right of the chart, then, are 6 types of ministry needed in a church. There's contact, entry, build, identify, equip, and send. Let me briefly explain each of these. Now, the first column on the left, contact, includes ministries, strategies, and activities that are designed to bring the body of Christ into direct contact with people who are not familiar with the gospel or connected to a church. These may include social activities, small groups focusing on reaching the unchurched, popular ministries such as Alpha, or serving the community by providing educational opportunities, recovery programs, or ministry to the poor, for example. Now, the second column from the left, entry, includes ministries, strategies, and activities that are designed to help new people feel welcomed and valued in the believing community. These may include visitation ministries, use of email and social media, small groups, and intentionally assigning friendly people to greet and assist newcomers at church events. The focus of any of these strategies is to help people be accepted, safe, and cared for by the body of Christ. A sense of belonging to the community of believers will often encourage people to believe in the gospel message. Now, the third column, build, includes ministry strategies and activities that are designed to help people become established in their faith and grow in the life in Christ. These may include any ministries that provide opportunity for instruction in the basic living as a Christ follower, as well as modeling Christian living for those who are new in their commitment to follow Jesus. A range of ministries that help people grow would ideally be employed, including groups and individual discipleship. Now, the fourth column, identity, includes ministry strategies and activities again that are designed to help believers discover their gifts and talents and how they can effectively develop their own ministry skills. This happens best in relationships between leaders and those they are serving. Developing an intentional approach to mentoring will be the most effective way to get to know individuals at a deep enough level to help them identify their gifts, talents, and skills and discover how to best use them. This could take place through small groups or one-on-one mentoring relationships. Now, the fifth column, equip, includes, again, ministries, strategies, and activities that are designed to help believers for the ministry God is calling them to. These include formal and informal training opportunities that allow a believer to acquire the knowledge, the skills, and experience that will propel them in their ministry. This can take place through classes, learning cohorts, mentoring, and supervised ministry opportunities. A leadership development culture that emphasizes equipping and releasing is essential for a church to be able to become effective as an equipping church. Now, this column, send, the final one, includes ministries and strategies and different activities that are designed to release believers to the ministries to which God has called them. This may occur in the local church as people are being discipled and trained, and then released to function in the ministry of the local church. Sending also includes extending a church's ministry and influence beyond the primary location. This includes planting new churches and ministries, as well as releasing those they have been developed to work in other ministries and participating perhaps even in the global mission. Okay, there's a quick overview. After the break, though, I'll explain how you can use each of this tool to help create really a balanced ministry.
This series is based upon our MCNet coaching and ministry guides. There are basically 2 parts to the series, 12 episodes that cover the 5 sections of the coaching guide and 18 episodes that cover the 8 workshops of the ministry guide. As a team, we have had the opportunity to serve in various parts of the world over the last decades using these materials to equip leaders and coach ministry teams throughout our ministry coaching network. This leadership team coaching in episodes 1 to 12 are intended for the core leadership team and cover big picture issues that affect the whole ministry. Here, issues regarding sharing vision, developing healthy culture, bringing about change, and multiplication strategies are discussed. There's a playbook at the end of each of these first 12 coaching episodes, which serves as a guide to help implement these church health and growth tools. These first 12 episodes then coincide with the ministry team workshops in episodes 13 to 30, which are designed to equip every member as they serve in the body. You can also check out our Christian Leadership Institute training program. This is a unique approach to ministerial training based on a competency-focused mentorship. The free materials for this series, as well as the coaching and ministry guides, are available from the links in the description box below. Just as many others have, we are sure you will find our other Leadership Matters podcast series helpful for you and your ministry.
The ministry flowchart is intended to be a tool that provides a structure for facilitating either a planning process or an evaluation process. See, for church planners who are designing ministries to reach a particular community, the flowchart will help them to plan ministries that are connected and are focused on the mission of discipling and developing people. It also enables church planners to identify what leadership gifts are going to be required and how the ministry gifts work together in fulfilling a God-given vision. See, the ministry flowchart can also be used, though, to evaluate existing ministries. By identifying where on the chart current ministries, leadership functions, and gifts fit, you can quickly see if there are gaps where certain ministries are weak or missing altogether. Each of these columns can also be reflected in the equipping gifts of Ephesians 4. I deal with this topic in detail in my 5-fold ministry materials, as well as the 5-fold ministry podcast series, the link of which I have included in the description blocks below. But how can you use this in a very practical way with your team and your church? Well, as you've likely noticed, the questions in the church health and evaluation assessment can be used to determine strengths and weaknesses in each of these 6 categories and columns. So the first step would be to have your core team and perhaps ministry team go through the church health and evaluation assessment tool, or the CHIA. As you begin, you can also then gather your team around a whiteboard or whatever and list every ministry of the church somewhere on the chart. Is there a balance of the ministries in each column, or are there some columns that look pretty empty? Of course, some ministries may fit across 2 or more columns. As we have coached teams in many cultural contexts, our experience has been that the emphasis of most churches is on the first 3 columns from the left. Churches typically have outreach programs and they provide ways for contacts, in the community, and then ways to train them in the Word. This is all positive and what I would call the basic discipleship programs of the church. But that is not the end of our job or the sum total of what is our calling as a church. Do we also have ministries that intentionally focus on identifying members' gifts, equipping them to use their gifts, and then releasing them into the ministry? I call these ministries as the process of mentoring. We need to be able to do both, discipling believers in the faith as they grow spiritually, and then mentoring them as leaders in the body of Christ so that they will fulfill the calling that God has on their life. So as you and your team analyze your church program, which are reflected somewhere on the columns of the flowchart, what do you see as the main emphasis of your church? Where are the weaknesses? The next step would be then to make some changes. Of course, taking into consideration some of the dynamics and bringing about the change that we discussed last episode. You can begin by making a list of the ministry ideas you're planning to do. How do these fit in the chart? what will be required to help people move in that direction. Another exercise you can do is to meet as a cohort for a working group discussion. To begin with, every person on the team write on a sticky note who they are in their ministries, not necessarily their role or function, and then have them paste this on the appropriate column of the chart on the wall or write it. After everyone has done this, take a look at the chart. Do members' callings and skills match their role? Do team members complement each other, or are they all grouped in one column? What is missing in your leadership team in order to be balanced and cover each area in the flow chart? The final step is then to develop some action steps, beginning with what you can do as a team in the immediate 3 to 6 months, then what needs to be done within the next 2 years, and finally the longer term goals after 2 years. Okay, there's a bit of an overview of how you can use the church health and evaluation assessment questions together with a flow chart to evaluate the ministry and programs in your church. If you've listened to the team building workshop in episodes 19 to 21, you should have a pretty good grasp already on how you can use this resource. So as we wrap up this episode, let's look at the playbook for this section. To begin with, here are a few questions to consider. What did you learn about the ministries in your church from the flow chart? Are they balanced? Are there ministries represented in each column? And as a ministry team, reflect on your ministry mix. Do you have a balanced team? If not, what steps can be taken to improve this situation? And thirdly, reflect on the questions listed at the end of Chapter 5 of the coaching guide regarding the flow chart and its implementation. Now, for each of these sections of the coaching series, we provide ministry team workshops which are designed to help anyone serving in the body apply these principles. For this section, the workshop Change Dynamics is in episodes 22 and 23. This provides additional principles for helping people and organizations through the change process. As always, our goal is to reproduce healthy leaders who will then be able to build healthy teams and reproduce healthy ministries. You'll notice a link to my 5-fold ministry podcast series, which views the ministry flowchart and life cycle through the lens of the equipping gifts we find in Ephesians chapter 5. There are also various resources available in this section, including a relational health survey for leaders and organizations and a 4-quadrant leadership assessment. Now, based upon the previously introduced church health and effectiveness assessment, the ministry flowchart and life cycle tools are introduced here to help leaders return an organization to health so that it will naturally grow. Our pathways of implementation this time use the question from the church health and evaluation assessment for leaders to understand the gaps in the overall ministry activities as well as where they are at in the life cycle of the organization. I've also provided a guidelines page which we have used to integrate the coaching sections and workshops. The elliptical diagram explains the flow of the coaching sessions and workshops and how they fit together. The blue one illustrates how this material can be used within existing churches, and the brownish one for establishing new ministries. And you can get a link to all of these resources in the description box below. Now, remember our discussion regarding wineskins? My point was that while the purpose of the church is not up for discussion, the form or way of doing ministry always needs to remain flexible. By the very nature of our societal context and people's changing needs, we will always need to adapt our ministries in order to deliver the new wine to the community in appropriate wineskins. Being unwilling to change inevitably leads to the organization or church no longer fulfilling its purpose. We've discussed the ministry flow chart, and next time I'll introduce to you the ministry life cycle, which is another tool to help you evaluate your church and your ministry.